I'm so excited to share this new applique technique with you that is just sweeping the applique world. It is the best new tools and technique that I've seen in doing applique for over 15 years. So it begins with a very lightweight woven interfacing, and that's your template material, and I'll show you how to use that in just a second. And then a glue pen to help you hold your edges, and these incredible new almost surgical tools that are stainless steel tools. So let's take a look at how this actually works. So here's your say a pattern of a little puffin, and here's a small sheet of this woven interfacing. It's very lightweight. You can actually see through it. You can see right through it. And one side of it, there's a shiny side and a not shiny side, which might be hard for you to see in the camera. But this shiny side is impregnated with just a little bit of glue, so that when you draw your pattern piece right over it, and you can do it with any sort of soft leaded pencil, so you can see that better in the camera. I'm going to actually use a colored pencil, but I'm going to draw in this little puffin's face shape right here. And I'm drawing on the side that has the little bit of glue impregnated into it. So right on the side that is the shiny side. That's the side that needs to be up. And I always think of that logically so that I can remember that in my head, because this is the side that has that little bit of glue, fusible glue. So when you take your fabric then and you put it right over the top of that, then it's going to stick to this. So that means everything is right side up to right side up. So once this is traced, then I'm going to cut out the exact shape that I need, and then we're going to put that, of course, on the back side of our fabric. So let's take a look. So here is the shape, say, that I cut out for one of his little wing shapes. And I have now put that on the back side of my fabric. So now I'm going to want to cut out a seam allowance. And I love these new Apliquick scissors too. You can see that they have been designed so that there's a third position to rest your finger on, so that you have a great deal of control when you're cutting nice, small, complex pieces. Has a serrated edge, so it really grabs and holds onto the fabric too. So with Apliquick system, you don't need a very big seam allowance. So it would be 3/16 or even a little bit under that, what your normal turn under allowance is. So you would just start cutting that out around your template shape. Just leave enough of a seam allowance to go around that shape. So, and then let's take a look at an actual piece. So this is a rather complex piece, and I chose this piece because I want to show you how to handle inside curves, outside curves, and points. So I'm going to begin with actually gluing this up, and I'm going to do this outside curve right here now. So on inside curves, I always like to give a little clip, not all the way to the interfacing. You want to stay back a ways from that so you don't get those little frayed edges and pickety points. And I'm going to then go around this outside curve, and you'll see how quick that is. And I'm going to stop turning it over here. So I'm just going to put a little clip so we don't go all the way around and take up too much time in the camera. And then I'm just using a little piece of plastic under here to keep my glue off of my table surface. I really love these new glue pens that we can get a hold of now. This is the Apliquick one that comes with their system, but any sort of water soluble glue pen will work well. I like these because they go on either yellow or blue, and then you can really see it in the camera. It dries, of course, nice and clear. So you can see I'm just putting on a little slight smear of glue, and I don't care if it's right on the fabric or a little bit onto the interfacing. I want it in the general vicinity of where I'm going to be turning. So you don't want to ever glue up too much of it at a time because you're using such a little slight smear that, that I don't want it to dry out on me. So I'm going to move that out of my way, and now we're going to pick up these incredibly amazing tools. So on the inside curve, remember we clipped into it a little bit to give it a little bit of extra give. So we have this fork, and the fork is to hold this nice and stable so that you can turn it. And then you see this beveled edge. That's the really miracle tool. You want to hold this rod really low. So I'm holding it as I would riding a pin, but I'm kind of keeping the angle low. My fork is used to stabilize the edge because I want to turn this edge over. And if I held it way back out here, I could, turn the whole piece up. So I want to hold it pretty close to the edge. But then the more that you can just keep your bevel flat and do a sweeping motion, then the better off you are. And on most of these really nice straight stitches, you can just sweep it. Sometimes when you get to little complex shapes like points and things, I'll show you another little system. So I'm just keeping this nice and close and just going ahead and turning around the edge. Now, when you come and you see, I'm not sure if you can see on the camera, but of course on bigger outside curves, you might get little tiny pleats. And that's where these points come in. So on the flip side, you have points. And so essentially you have 4 tools. But then you can really flatten out any little pleats that would have come up. And then we can just go right back to our fork side, and we can just keep turning this around. And I'm not going to turn it too far here because I want to go back and show you that inside curve too a little bit more. So I'm just going to stop right there. So with this inside curve, you can see by clipping into it a little bit, we gave a nice smooth turnaround, but my clip is all the way back out here, so I'm not too close to the edge. And then let's talk about dealing with points. So inside curves, outside curves, and then points. So traditionally in the applique world, when we have a point, we left enough at the end of the point so that we had a little flag when we turned it over and turned it over. So in the Apliquick world, we don't need that. In fact, we are going to come right here and we are going to cut straight across there, and we're going to take that right out of there. And I know a lot of you who have been doing applique for a long time just had a huge gasp in your voice. And all of this fabric here has to fit in to this little area right here. So if you can taper this back and get out some additional, then that's always helpful too, to get a little bit more of an angle on the end here to take some of that out. So I'm going to take a little bit of that out there. I'm going to glue this up, so I'm just going to put my little piece of plastic under here again. And I'm going to glue this whole rest of this up here so that we can see how to turn a point too. So you can see on this point that even my fork is a bit big to fit in this little area. Now I've got a pretty small little point on here. So that's once again where I can turn and flip to just my points. And I like to start points with the very end. I want to make sure that any frame that I would have got out here is going to be turned over and caught in that glue. So instead of a sweeping motion right now, I'm going to put my bevel up, and I'm actually just going to flip this. I'm going to lift it and flip that end, and I'm going to really push it down and really secure it into that glue. Now I can go along and turn each side into that. So now I am going to go ahead and flip this over so we can finish this up now and make sure that's all nice and flat. Got little stray threads going on here. And then we'll come around and I'll do this other side. So, and now I'm just going to take my little point here and just work this in because I've got so much fitting into this little tiny point at the end here. Get everybody all nice and flattened out here. And then I do like to take them, if I've got a complex edge, and turn it over. So now you can see on this side I can just take my bevel and I can also just smooth that. If there was a lot of fabric in there, I've tapered most of it out of there so you don't have to worry too much, but I can just smooth that down. But you can see what lovely nice point I've got, lovely inside curve and outside curve, and it's just so fast and so easy that everyone can be successful with this method, even if you have arthritis in your hands, because these tools give you such a great advantage. So let's look at a completed unit. So here is a piece that nice little, you can see I can fussy cut out and then turn these little tiny leaves. I love these big Apliquick tweezers. I have a bit of arthritis in my thumb, and it's just so easy because they also are beveled. You can just come in here and scoop these up. Here's a near perfect little circle I made. It's got the interfacing underneath of it. And it's such an advantage over the freezer paper method because this interfacing, very lightweight, soft interfacing, stays in. You don't have to pull that back out of there and disrupt everything. And what's lovely about it too is because it does stay in, it actually gives a little extra loft and dimension to all of your pieces. So as I'm placing all these little petals into place and then just picking up this whole unit, hand appliquing that unit together, adding in my ribbons, and then you can see on the back side all of this has that nice interfacing so that it does just give it a little bit of extra loft. And now I can take, of course, this flower and ribbon unit, I can put that up on the background of my choice and just pin or glue base this a little bit to my background, and now I can just sew along all of these outside edges. And I've got a beautiful applique shape that was so much easier than it used to be when I've been doing it for lots of years before. So I hope you enjoy it. I know you'll love this system as much as I do.